Hey everyone, welcome back to Political X. For more knowledge and updates on UK, European and US politics, make sure you subscribe to this channel. Quite a big thing happened last night from a Brexit point of view, from a Nigel Farage point of view, and from a Brexiteer point of view and a Remainer point of view. Nigel Farage admitted on GBN News that Brexit wasn't going as well as it should, and pointed out a couple of negatives, which would start to make you think, how much of a Brexiteer is he? And how much is he starting to realise, actually, this is a bigger problem? Not only that, but he was taking on Peter Hitchens and was meeting with, frankly, a decent adversary dealing with Nigel Farage. Have a listen.
You're right. There are huge numbers of people out there that believe in the country, believe in borders, believe in defence, believe in all those things. And the Brexit referendum was for many people, their one real opportunity to go to the polls and to express that. And they did. And, I mean, Brexit...
Did you hear that? That Brexit. Have a listen again.
I mean, Brexit, where we are today, it's not perfect with Northern Ireland.
That sigh is almost a level of regret over what he's done. I mean, you'd have to look at this. I've never seen Nigel look that despondent when talking about Brexit, and he's admitting there's a failure that he's having to admit to himself, and is telling people on TV. There are a lot of Brexiteers on Twitter that would never admit there was a problem.
I find the whole peace process, so-called in Northern Ireland, loathsome. Utterly and entirely loathsome.
But at least he's starting to admit there's a problem. But there was more.
With fisheries.
He finally admits there's an issue with fishing and fisheries. That is why he's not been there to confront these people, because he knows he's going to get it in the neck. For me, this is a huge step towards showing that Brexit does not work when you've got the leading Brexiteer admitting there's problems.
But we do actually, to a large degree, have got back the ability to run our lives now, don't we?
Well, I completely disagree.
Do you?
No, I didn't take part in the referendum campaign. I didn't vote in the referendum.
Right.
I thought that we should have taken the Norway option. I thought that the referendum was designed to save the Conservative Party rather than the country. I think that was its,
it was offered
its whole purpose, and I think that
originally, yes,
that's what it has ended up doing.
But we could have gone for the Norway option once we'd had the vote.
We could have gone for the Norway option. That means we'd have to accept the rules being imposed on us by the EU without any say. Not only that, but Begbie here has changed his mind again. Because, and you'll see, he was suggesting that he's changed his mind over the Norway option.
Effectively, with a Norwegian-type deal, which is not what the people of this country voted for, which is...
And yet this shyster had actually campaigned repeatedly on TV for a Norway deal. Have a listen.
Terrible if we were like Norway and Switzerland, really? They're rich. Norway can afford to give people money. It's rich. Norway. They're rich. Norway. Can you imagine it? Rich. Wait. But we didn't.
We didn't, because the campaign to leave the European Union, which was originally a campaign of people who loved this country and wanted to retain and restore its institutions and independence, was taken over by a bunch of piratical free traders who want nothing of that kind. They simply want to take this country out of the European Union and plunge us into a world of completely, as far as I see, unrestrained free trade, in which instead of being dominated by Brussels, we get pushed around by China. I don't really see it as much of a swap myself.
Well, we can make our own laws, we can regulate our own industries.
Up to a point.
We can control... Well, yes, of course, there are global standards, and if you want to sell a good to America, you've got to meet with their laws, and I understand that.
Look how he reels away. Look how he's pushing his head back. If you're reading the body language here, you can see he doesn't like that, but he accepts it. So the big difference here is the fact that now we have no say in what takes place in the US. So either we take laws imposed on us and our trading standards from the US and China and have no say in that, because we do not have the clout to have a decent negotiating position with China or the United States, especially as they both know we are desperate for trade deals. On top of that, we've now removed ourselves from being a position of influence within the EU, both being able to negotiate and vote on matters within the EU and the EU states, but also as a collective and bargaining with other powers that are significantly bigger. But Nigel won't mention that. because it doesn't suit his narrative. I'm not a fan of either of these characters, but I have to say Hitchens does seem to be taking Farage to task, and you see that throughout the video. You see a lot of stuttering from Nigel, you see a lot of pauses, you see sighs. He's obviously not happy with what's happened, and I just don't think he's realised that actually it wasn't Project Fear, it was Project Reality, and he couldn't process that in his head throughout the entire campaign because he was so devoted to this idea of independence that cannot exist, because at some level we are going to be pushed around by someone, and either we're sat at a negotiating table with equals, or we're sat at a table where we're basically going cap in hand to big countries to try and get some form of trade agreement. But in some cases that can't even happen. The United States, both the President and the Congress, are both saying no to any trade deal till we sort out Northern Ireland. That's not going to happen unless we actually come into some form of regulation where everyone's happy with trade going through the UK to the EU without trade barriers. That cannot happen unless we join the single market or customs union, unless someone can come up with a third option that no one else can see. The way I've looked at this is we could be a tea bag in a teacup making a strong cup of tea, or we can be a tea bag put in the ocean and having to follow the currents. And I know which side I think is more powerful. The question is, are Brexiteers starting to wake up to that? I hope so. Let me know your thoughts, put your comments in. It's been great seeing all the questions and thoughts coming into the channel and seeing the channel grow, so thank you so much for all your support. If you really want to help me out, check out my merch on Redbubble. I hope you enjoyed my political observations this week. If you'd like to support me, please share the video with others and post about it on social media. If you're keen for more, subscribe, comment, like, and hit that notification button. Thanks for listening, and see you next time on Political X.